This video contains audio content only. There are no visual elements or images accompanying the audio. If you're expecting to see video footage, please note that this is an intentional audio-only presentation. We recommend listening to this content rather than watching the screen. Thank you for your understanding and enjoy the audio. Welcome to an enlightening journey into the world of Bon, a Tibetan religion often shrouded in mystery. Join us as we unravel its fascinating history, from ancient shamanic roots to its complex relationship with Buddhism. We'll explore the core beliefs and practices of Bon, including the 9 ways of Bon, a unique path to enlightenment. Discover the struggles and triumphs of the Bonpo people, their exile, and their remarkable resilience. Prepare to be captivated by a story of spiritual survival, adaptation, and the enduring power of faith. Chapter 1. The Shaman's Shadow. Venture into the heart of ancient Tibet, a land where the Himalayas pierce the sky and wind-swept valleys echo with the whispers of spirits. Millennia before the first Buddhist prayer flags fluttered in the breeze, a different spiritual world thrived. Here, amidst towering peaks and rushing rivers, the people lived in intimate communion with the unseen forces that pulsed through the natural world. This was the age of the shaman, the bridge between the mundane and the ethereal, navigating a reality alive with both benevolent deities and malevolent entities. Imagine a world where every snow-capped summit, every glacial stream, every gnarled juniper tree possessed a unique spirit, a force capable of influencing human affairs. This animistic worldview permeated every facet of Tibetan existence. Mountains were not mere geological formations, they were the dwelling places of powerful gods, their snowy mantles imbued with divine energy. Rivers were not simply sources of water, they were the veins of the earth, inhabited by serpent-like spirits known as Lu, guardians of hidden treasures and sometimes bringers of misfortune. Even the wind held a spirit, carrying prayers and whispers across the vast plateau. Within this vibrant spiritual tapestry, shamans, both men and women, held a position of profound importance. Their power stemmed from their ability to traverse the veil between worlds, to commune with the spirits and translate their messages for the community. They were the healers, the diviners, the protectors, their rituals as varied as the spirits they addressed. A shaman, seeking to diagnose an illness, might cast a mo, a divination using a knotted rope, seeking to identify the malevolent spirit responsible. The diagnosis might lead to an elaborate ransom ritual, involving the creation of tormas, barley flour effigies of animals, offered as substitutes for actual sacrifices. The shaman, adorned in ceremonial garb and a feathered headdress, would chant powerful incantations, accompanied by the rhythmic beat of a drum, driving the spirit from the afflicted individual. For divination, shamans might employ other techniques, such as gazing into a mirror, interpreting the patterns of smoke, or reading the cracks in burnt bones. They sought guidance for everything from choosing an auspicious date for a wedding to predicting the outcome of a harvest. Their pronouncements held sway, shaping decisions and influencing the course of lives. Beyond healing and divination, shamans also played a vital role in communicating with the spirits of the dead. Elaborate funerary rites were performed, particularly for kings and nobles, ensuring their safe passage to the afterlife. These rituals involved animal sacrifices, offerings of food and drink, and the burial of precious jewels alongside the deceased, provisions for their journey to the next realm. Royal priests, known as kushan, presided over these ceremonies, their role distinct from that of village shamans. They were intimately connected to the king's body, their rituals designed to protect the ruler, ensure the stability of the kingdom, and maintain cosmic balance. The kushan also performed elaborate rituals for royal coronations, invoking the support of the gods and legitimizing the ruler's power. The animistic worldview extended beyond ritual practice, shaping even the architecture of Tibetan homes. Houses were designed as fortresses against malevolent spirits, with specific features intended to ward off negative influences. The hearth, the heart of the home, was considered sacred, the dwelling place of the household deity. Offerings were made regularly, ensuring the spirit's protection and blessings. Central to the pre-Buddhist spiritual landscape was the concept of blah, the life force or soul, believed to be vulnerable to theft by malevolent spirits. Loss of blah resulted in illness, misfortune, and even death. Shamans performed rituals to protect and retrieve lost blah, restoring vitality and well-being. This concept, deeply embedded in Tibetan culture, would later be integrated into Bon and Tibetan Buddhism. The pre-Buddhist spiritual world recognized a diverse pantheon of spirits, each with specific functions and influences. The Dre were malevolent spirits, often associated with illness and misfortune. The Gong were powerful spirits inhabiting specific locations, such as mountains and lakes. These were ancestral spirits, revered and consulted for guidance. This complex web of spiritual forces shaped the daily lives of ancient Tibetans, influencing their decisions, customs, and social structures. From this rich and dynamic spiritual landscape emerged Bon, a more formalized religious system. While Bon retained many elements of the pre-Buddhist shamanic traditions, it also marked a shift towards a more structured and codified set of beliefs and practices. The shaman's role evolved, becoming more priestly and less ecstatic. Animal sacrifices were gradually replaced with symbolic offerings, reflecting a growing emphasis on non-violence. The pantheon of spirits was reorganized, with some deities elevated to higher status and others absorbed into the Bon pantheon. Despite these changes, the core animistic worldview persisted, shaping the unique character of Bon and influencing its subsequent interactions with Buddhism. The reverence for nature, the belief in spirits, the importance of ritual, and the concept of blah all found their way into the Bon tradition, forming a bridge between the shaman's shadow and the light of a new religious era. This complex interplay of indigenous beliefs and imported traditions would ultimately shape the spiritual landscape of Tibet, creating a rich and multifaceted tapestry of religious expression. Chapter 2. Tonpa Shenrab Miwash, the enigmatic prophet and the birth of Yungdrung Bon. In the remote, semi-mythical land of Tazig, a land west of Tibet shrouded in spiritual significance and often linked to the majestic Mount Kailash, a prince was born who would forever alter the spiritual landscape of the Tibetan plateau. His name was Tonpa Shenrab Miwash, and his story, interwoven with threads of myth and legend, speaks of a life dedicated to illuminating the path to enlightenment. Tazig, a land veiled in mystery, served as a cradle for the Yungdrung Bon religion, much like Shambhala for Tibetan Buddhists. It was here, amidst a landscape imbued with spiritual potency, that Tonpa Shenrab, born into a royal lineage, began his extraordinary journey. Though a prince of Tazig, destined for the throne, Tonpa Shenrab was no ordinary king. He ruled with wisdom and compassion, constructing temples, performing sacred rituals, and spreading the teachings of Bon throughout his kingdom. His life, however, was not without its earthly ties. He had wives, children, and a kingdom to care for, all while nurturing the seeds of spiritual awakening within himself. He prepared his people, gradually introducing them to the tenets of Bon, laying the groundwork for the profound transformation that would follow his renunciation. The call of the spiritual path eventually led Tonpa Shenrab to relinquish his royal responsibilities. He embarked on a quest for wisdom, driven by a deep yearning to understand the nature of reality and liberate beings from suffering. It is said that in a pure realm, beyond the confines of ordinary perception, he received divine teachings from the transcendent deity Shenla Okar, the wellspring of primordial wisdom. This encounter ignited within him an unwavering commitment to share the light of these teachings with the world. His path was not without its trials. He faced numerous demons, malevolent entities that sought to obstruct his mission. Kyapa Logring, a particularly formidable demon, relentlessly challenged Tonpa Shenrab, stealing his horses and attempting to thwart his every effort. Yet, through his spiritual prowess and unwavering compassion, Tonpa Shenrab not only defeated these demons but also converted them into protectors of the Dharma, demonstrating the transformative power of Bon. One of Tonpa Shenrab's most profound contributions was the introduction of the 9 Ways of Bon, a graded path to enlightenment that encompassed the full spectrum of spiritual practice. In its initial form, this system provided a framework for understanding the different stages of spiritual development, offering a range of practices tailored to the varying capacities of his followers. From the more mundane practices of divination and ritual, aimed at harmonizing external forces, to the profound depths of advanced meditation, designed to cultivate inner wisdom, the 9 Ways offered a comprehensive path towards liberation. Central to Tonpa Shenrab's teachings was the revolutionary reform of animal sacrifice, a practice deeply ingrained in the pre-Buddhist shamanistic traditions. Recognizing the karmic consequences of harming sentient beings, he introduced the use of tormas. These symbolic figures, crafted from barley flour and often shaped like animals, served as compassionate substitutes for living sacrifices. This shift marked a pivotal moment in the evolution of Tibetan spirituality, emphasizing non-violence and the interconnectedness of all life. He taught that all beings, both human and animal, possess a life spirit, or blah, an essential energetic force connected to the five elements. To harm these spirits, he explained, creates negative karma, disrupting the delicate balance of the universe and hindering one's own spiritual progress. His teachings emphasized the law of karma and the cycle of rebirth, explaining that our actions have consequences that extend beyond this lifetime, shaping our future lives and influencing our journey towards enlightenment. He performed numerous rituals, not only to heal and protect but also to establish a connection with the divine, constructing temples as sacred spaces for spiritual practice. From the heartland of Zhangzhung, Tonpa Shenrab's teachings radiated outwards, reaching the land of Tibet and gradually transforming the existing spiritual landscape. Zhangzhung, a kingdom of immense cultural and spiritual significance, was divided into three sections: inner, outer, and middle. The inner Zhangzhung, the most sacred of the three, was often associated with the mythical Olmo Lungring. The outer Zhangzhung represented the physical kingdom, while the middle Zhangzhung served as a bridge between the two, symbolizing the integration of the spiritual and the mundane. The dissemination of Tonpa Shenrab's teachings was not solely his endeavor. His wives, children, and devoted disciples played a crucial role in spreading the Dharma, ensuring that the wisdom of Bon reached a wider audience. Their efforts helped to establish a strong foundation for the growth and development of the Yungdrung Bon tradition. The life and teachings of Tonpa Shenrab are preserved in three distinct biographies: the Dodu, the Zermik, and the Ziji. Each text offers a unique perspective on his life story, highlighting different aspects of his spiritual journey. The Dodu, the shortest of the three, provides a concise overview of his life and teachings. The Zermik expands upon this narrative, offering more detailed accounts of his encounters and spiritual accomplishments. The Ziji, the most extensive biography, is considered an oral transmission, passed down through generations of Bonpo masters, preserving the richness and nuance of his teachings. While these texts share a common core, they also present variations in the details, reflecting the evolving understanding and interpretation of Tonpa Shenrab's life story within the Bon tradition. One of the key differences lies in the specific details of his birthplace, with some accounts emphasizing the mythical Olmo Lungring while others point to the more earthly Tazig. Tonpa Shenrab's teachings extended beyond the individual path to enlightenment, encompassing a broader understanding of the cosmos and our place within it. He taught about the three realms: heaven, earth, and underground, each inhabited by specific deities. Zan or Tisan, the sky deity, ruled the heavens, while Nian, the earth deity, presided over the earthly realm. Lu, the serpent-like spirit, governed the subterranean world, guarding hidden treasures and influencing the flow of earthly energies. His teachings included the concept of a cosmic egg, formed from the interaction of the five elements, from which the entire universe emerged. This primordial egg symbolizes the interconnectedness of all things and the underlying unity of existence. The arrival of Tonpa Shenrab's teachings marked a transformative shift in the spiritual practices of ancient Tibet. He challenged the existing shamanistic traditions, which often relied on appeasement through sacrifice, offering a new path based on symbolic offerings, compassion, and ethical conduct. While Yungdrung Bon retained some elements of the earlier, nameless religion, such as the reverence for nature spirits and the importance of ritual, it also introduced new concepts and practices, such as the 9 ways of Bon, the reform of animal sacrifice, and the emphasis on karma and rebirth. His teachings profoundly influenced the understanding of the afterlife, shifting the focus from appeasing the spirits of the dead to achieving liberation from the cycle of suffering through spiritual practice. He offered a path not just to a better afterlife, but to ultimate freedom, a state of enlightenment where suffering ceases and the true nature of reality is revealed. His profound insights and compassionate teachings laid the foundation for the Yungdrung Bon tradition, a spiritual path that continues to inspire and guide seekers on their journey towards enlightenment. Chapter 3. The 9 Ways of Bon, a journey through the diverse paths to enlightenment. The 9 Ways of Bon, much like a winding mountain trail leading to a summit of enlightenment, offer a structured yet diverse approach to spiritual development. This graded path, while sharing some similarities with the Buddhist yanas, reveals unique vistas of Bonpo cosmology and practice. It accommodates individuals at various stages of spiritual maturity, guiding them from the practicalities of daily life to the profound realization of their true nature. The journey begins with the causal Bon, the first 4 ways, deeply rooted in the shamanic traditions of pre-Buddhist Tibet. These initial steps address worldly concerns and establish a foundation for deeper spiritual exploration. The first path, Chashant the GPA, the way of prediction, equips the practitioner with the tools of divination. Imagine a Bonpo priest, eyes focused, casting a mo. This divination, sometimes performed with knotted ropes reminiscent of ancient traditions, or with dice, reveals the unseen forces at play, guiding decisions and offering insights into the future. It's a way of understanding the interplay of energies and aligning oneself with auspicious circumstances. Astrology, alongside ritual examination and prophecy, further refines the divinatory process, providing a comprehensive understanding of the forces shaping one's destiny. Nong Shent the GPA, the way of the visual world, delves into the intricate world of spirits and deities. It's a journey into the psychophysical universe, exploring the nature of the gods and demons that inhabit the seen and unseen realms. Here, the practitioner learns the art of exorcism, not through brute force, but through understanding and energetic exchange. Think of the law, benevolent spirits residing in mountains and lakes, the Sen, local deities tied to specific regions, and the Lu, serpent-like spirits dwelling in the depths of the earth and water. Each possesses unique powers and influences, and the practitioner learns to navigate this complex spiritual landscape, seeking harmony and balance. Trul Shent the GPA, the way of illusion, unveils the illusory nature of reality. It's a path of dismantling the constructs of the mind, recognizing the impermanence of all things. This understanding is not a nihilistic rejection of the world, but rather a stepping stone towards a deeper appreciation of the true nature of existence. Rituals performed in this way are aimed at dispersing adverse powers, not by fighting them, but by understanding their nature and dissolving their hold on the practitioner. Si Shent the GPA, the way of existence, explores the mysteries of life, death, and the afterlife. It's a journey into the bardo, the intermediate state between lives, and a deep dive into the 6 realms of existence, from the celestial heights of the God realm to the depths of the hell realm. This understanding is not meant to instill fear, but to provide a framework for understanding the karmic consequences of actions and the continuous cycle of rebirth. The practitioner learns the methods for guiding beings towards liberation, offering solace and direction on their journey through the realms. Having navigated the practicalities of the causal Bon, the seeker now enters the realm of result Bon, the next 4 ways. These paths delve into the core teachings of Bon, emphasizing ethical conduct, meditation, and the cultivation of wisdom and compassion. The 5th path, Je Nyant the GPA, the way of virtuous layperson, lays out the 10 principles of ethical living. These principles, like guideposts on the path, provide a framework for living a life of integrity and compassion. They emphasize honesty, generosity, patience, and non-violence, guiding the practitioner towards a life of harmony with oneself and the world. Fasting, a practice shared with many spiritual traditions, further cultivates discipline and self-awareness. Drang Song the GPA, the way of monasticism, marks a deeper commitment to the spiritual path. Here, the practitioner enters the monastic life, embracing vows of celibacy and dedicating themselves to study and practice. This path involves rigorous training in Bon philosophy, meditation, and ritual, deepening the practitioner's understanding of the Dharma and cultivating inner peace. Akarth the GPA, the way of primordial sound, introduces the practitioner to the power of mantra and visualization. It's a journey into the subtle realms of sound and energy, where sacred syllables hold the key to unlocking hidden potentials and transforming consciousness. Visualizations, intricate and vibrant, bring deities and symbols to life, deepening the practitioner's connection to the divine. This path incorporates the tantric practice of Che Rim, cutting through the bonds of rebirth, death, and the bardo. Yi Shen Thagpa, the way of primordial Shen, emphasizes the importance of lineage and the guru-disciple relationship. It's a path of recognizing the essential role of a qualified teacher in guiding one's spiritual journey. The practitioner learns to discern the right master, place, and time for tantric practice, ensuring that the powerful energies unleashed are harnessed for the benefit of all beings. This path emphasizes the perfection of the tantric process, Zog Rim, and the attainment of the illusory body, Gyu Lu, a subtle energetic form that allows for greater freedom and mobility in the spiritual realms. Finally, the journey culminates in Dzogchen, the great perfection, the ninth and highest path, Lana Mepa, the unsurpassable way. This pinnacle of the 9 ways is a profound system of meditation aimed at realizing the true nature of mind. Here, the practitioner transcends the limitations of conceptual thought, experiencing the primordial awareness that lies beyond duality. Mantras, visualizations, and the guidance of a qualified teacher all play a crucial role in this process. Bon Dzogchen, while sharing similarities with its Buddhist counterpart, also possesses unique characteristics, particularly in its emphasis on the Bonpo cosmology and the role of Tonpa Shenrab's teachings. Within Bon Dzogchen, 3 distinct systems of meditation further refine the path: a Tri, Nyangnyud, and Dzogchen, each offering a unique approach to realizing the ultimate nature of reality. Throughout this journey through the 9 ways, the practitioner encounters a rich tapestry of rituals and practices. Elaborate ceremonies, performed by Bonpo priests, involve chanting, music, and the rhythmic beat of the flat bell, shang. Dough molds, tor par, intricately carved pieces of wood, are used to create tormas, symbolic offerings presented to deities and spirits. Sacred dances, cham, vibrant and dynamic, express the energy and wisdom of the Bon tradition. Symbols like the swastika, yung drung, representing eternity, and the horned eagle, kyung, symbolizing spiritual power, permeate Bonpo art and ritual, reminding the practitioner of the profound truths at the heart of the tradition. The 9 ways of Bon offer not just a set of practices, but a comprehensive worldview, a way of understanding oneself and one's place in the cosmos. It's a journey of transformation, embracing both the worldly and the transcendent, the practical and the profound. It's a path that leads not just to a better afterlife, but to the ultimate liberation from suffering, the realization of one's inherent Buddha nature, and the embodiment of wisdom and compassion in this very life. Chapter 4. When Gods Collide: The Epic Struggle Between Bon and Buddhism for Tibet's Soul. The arrival of Buddhism in Tibet during the 7th century was not a gentle merging of spiritual traditions, but a clash of titans, a struggle for the very soul of Tibet. The indigenous Bon religion, deeply woven into the fabric of Tibetan life, suddenly found itself facing a formidable rival, a new Dharma arriving from India with the backing of royal power. This was not merely a philosophical debate, it was a battle for hearts and minds, for cultural dominance, and for the spiritual destiny of a nation. Initially, the 2 traditions coexisted, albeit uneasily. Bon, with its ancient roots in shamanistic practices, ancestor worship, and reverence for the spirits of the land, held sway in many regions, particularly in the West. Its priests, the Bonpos, performed vital rituals, ensuring good fortune, healing the sick, and guiding souls to the afterlife. Buddhism, with its emphasis on monastic life, philosophical inquiry, and the pursuit of enlightenment, gradually gained traction, particularly among the elite. The tension between the 2 faiths escalated in the 8th century, during the reign of King Trisong Detsen. While initially tolerant, Trisong Detsen, influenced by Buddhist advisors, increasingly favored the new Dharma. This shift in royal patronage marked a turning point, setting the stage for a period of suppression and persecution of Bon. A pivotal moment in this struggle occurred in 759 AD at the Gyeonpu Garden Palace. Here, a dramatic debate was staged between Bon and Buddhist practitioners, a public spectacle designed to determine the superior faith. The debate, orchestrated by Trisong Detsen and the Indian Buddhist scholar Shantarakshita, focused on the core tenets of each religion. The Bonpos, steeped in their tradition of ritual and magic, found themselves at a disadvantage against the Buddhists, skilled in logic and philosophical argumentation. The outcome was a resounding victory for Buddhism, solidifying its position as the favored religion and ushering in an era of hardship for the Bonpo. The king, swayed by the Buddhist victory, issued a decree banning certain Bon practices, most notably the use of animal sacrifice in their rituals. This was a devastating blow to the Bonpo, as animal sacrifice had been an integral part of their tradition, a way of appeasing the gods and ensuring their favor. Furthermore, some Bon texts were deemed heretical and destroyed, a symbolic act of suppression aimed at erasing the Bonpo's spiritual heritage. Faced with persecution, the Bonpos adopted various survival strategies. One of the most ingenious was the concealment of their sacred texts as termas, or hidden treasures. These texts, carefully concealed in caves, rocks, and even within the minds of chosen individuals, were entrusted to future generations, safeguarding the Bonpo wisdom from destruction. This practice of concealing termas, later adopted by certain Buddhist schools, became a hallmark of Tibetan spirituality. Another strategy was migration. Bonpo practitioners, fleeing persecution, sought refuge in remote regions, particularly in the eastern provinces of Nari, Amdo, and Kham. These regions, further from the center of royal power and Buddhist influence, provided a haven for the Bonpo, allowing them to continue their practices in relative peace. Here, they established new communities, building monasteries and preserving their unique traditions. Despite the hardships they faced, the Bonpos did not simply retreat into isolation. They adapted, evolving alongside Buddhism, absorbing certain elements while retaining their distinct identity. This process of syncretism, a blend of adaptation and resistance, is evident in the development of New Bon, a tradition that emerged in the 14th century. New Bon incorporated elements of both Yungdrung Bon and Tibetan Buddhism, including the veneration of Padmasambhava, a key figure in Tibetan Buddhist history. This blending of traditions demonstrates the remarkable resilience and adaptability of the Bon religion. This adaptation extended to the integration of Bon deities and rituals into the Buddhist pantheon. Some Bon deities were reinterpreted as Buddhist protectors. Their roles and iconography subtly shifted to align with Buddhist cosmology. Rituals, too, underwent transformation, with Bon practices like divination, Mo, and astrology finding their place within Tibetan Buddhist traditions. The use of tormas, once a Bonpo innovation, became widespread in Tibetan Buddhist rituals, offered as symbolic substitutes for animal sacrifices. The concept of a life spirit, Bla, central to Bon, found resonance within Tibetan Buddhism, albeit with subtle shifts in interpretation. Similarly, the prosperity spirit, Yang, represented by the sheep's head consumed during Losar, the Tibetan New Year, reflects the integration of Bon beliefs into Buddhist practice. Even the ubiquitous prayer flags, fluttering in the wind across the Tibetan plateau, have their roots in Bon traditions, symbolizing the harmonization of the elements and the dispersal of good fortune. The burning of juniper, a practice still prevalent in Tibet, originated in Bon rituals, offered as a purification and a greeting to arriving guests. The relationship between Bon and Buddhism was not solely one of conflict and assimilation. There were also instances of collaboration and mutual influence. Both traditions share a fundamental emphasis on compassion, ethical conduct, and the pursuit of enlightenment. The Bonpo, like the Buddhists, strive to liberate themselves from the cycle of suffering and attain a state of ultimate freedom. They emphasize the importance of virtuous actions, mindfulness, and meditation as tools for spiritual development. Even within Tibetan Buddhism, there was a growing recognition of the validity of Bon practices. Figures like Zhang Rinpoche, a respected Buddhist scholar, argued for greater tolerance and understanding of the Bonpo, acknowledging their spiritual legitimacy. This shift in attitude reflected a growing awareness of the shared ground between the two traditions and a recognition of the Bonpo's deep connection to Tibetan culture. From the Bonpo perspective, the arrival of Buddhism was often portrayed as a catastrophic event, a disruption of the spiritual balance orchestrated by demonic forces. Their texts recount tales of persecution and the suppression of their ancient traditions. Yet, alongside this narrative of conflict, there also exists a more conciliatory view, one that acknowledges the similarities between the two faiths. Some Bonpo texts even suggest that Tonpa Shenrab and Sakyamuni, the historical Buddha, were cousins, their teachings essentially the same, albeit expressed in different forms. The complex and often tumultuous relationship between Bon and Buddhism is a testament to the enduring power of faith and the dynamic nature of religious traditions. It's a story of conflict and assimilation, of resistance and adaptation, of two spiritual forces vying for dominance yet ultimately shaping each other in profound ways. The result is a unique and vibrant religious landscape, a tapestry woven from the threads of two ancient traditions, a testament to the enduring human quest for meaning and spiritual fulfillment. Chapter 5. Bon in Exile, a story of resilience and revival in the Himalayas. The rise of Buddhism in Tibet, while a transformative period for the spiritual landscape of the plateau, cast a long shadow over the ancient Bon religion. No longer enjoying royal patronage, Bon practitioners found themselves increasingly marginalized, their traditions threatened, their sacred sites usurped. This marked the beginning of a diaspora, a scattering of the Bonpo across the Himalayas, a journey of exile that would test their resilience and reshape their faith. The geography of this exile was as varied as the communities that embraced Bon. While some Bonpos sought refuge in the remote fastnesses of Dalpo in western Nepal, a region whose rugged terrain and ancient shamanic traditions offered a natural haven, others found their way to the eastern and northern frontiers of Tibet, settling in regions like Gyeolrong, in present-day Sichuan. This area, known for its unique blend of cultures and languages, became a crucible for Bon, where it interacted with local traditions and developed distinct characteristics. Still others remained in Tibet, finding pockets of refuge in Sang, a region in central Tibet that would later become a center for the Bonpo revival. The Dalpo and Mustang areas of Nepal also became important centers for Bon, preserving its unique blend of shamanic practices and Buddhist influences. These diverse landscapes, from the high-altitude deserts of the Changtang to the lush valleys of the Himalayas, became the new homes of the Bonpo, shaping their practices and influencing the evolution of their faith. Exile was not a gentle retreat, it was a struggle for survival, a constant negotiation between preserving tradition and adapting to new realities. The loss of their homeland and sacred sites was a profound trauma, a severing of ties to the ancestral spirits and the land that had nurtured their faith for generations. The Bonpos faced discrimination and persecution, their practices often denigrated as black magic by their Buddhist rivals. In some cases, they were forced to convert, their monasteries taken over, their texts destroyed. They also faced the challenge of integrating into new communities, sometimes encountering conflict with local populations over resources and cultural differences. Yet, amidst these hardships, the Bonpo clung to their faith, finding strength in their shared beliefs and the wisdom of their ancestors. The transmission of knowledge became a paramount concern in exile. With the loss of their monasteries and libraries, the Bonpo relied on two primary methods for preserving their traditions: the termas and oral transmission. Termas, or hidden treasures, were texts and ritual objects concealed by earlier Bonpo masters, often in times of persecution. These treasures, believed to be imbued with spiritual power, were rediscovered by tertans, or treasure revealers, at auspicious times. Figures like Shenchen Luga, a prominent tertan of the 11th century, played a crucial role in the Bonpo revival, revealing terma texts like the Mdzod Phug, a bilingual work in Zhongzheng in Tibetan, and the Gzibrjid, a multi-volume biography of Tonpa Shenrab. These texts, along with others like the Dodu and the Zermik, became cornerstones of the Bonpo canon, providing a foundation for their teachings and practices. Oral transmission, passed down through lineages of Bonpo masters, also played a vital role in preserving the tradition. Shardza Rinpoche, a 19th-century Bonpo scholar, whose collected writings fill 18 volumes, revitalized the tradition through his teachings and scholarship. His disciple, Kagyu Kyungtrul Jigme Namka, trained numerous practitioners, ensuring the transmission of Bon knowledge to future generations. These lineages, like unbroken threads connecting the past to the present, ensured the survival of Bon's intricate rituals, philosophical insights, and spiritual practices. Adaptation and innovation became essential for Bon's survival in exile. The Bonpo, while fiercely protective of their core beliefs, also demonstrated a remarkable ability to adapt to new environments and incorporate elements of other cultures and religions. New Bon, which emerged in the 14th century, exemplifies this process of syncretism. This new movement, while rooted in the Yungdrung Bon tradition, also incorporated elements of Tibetan Buddhism, including the veneration of Padmasambhava, a figure revered by Buddhists as a key figure in the introduction of Buddhism to Tibet. This blending of traditions created a unique form of Bon, reflecting the dynamic interplay between indigenous beliefs and imported practices. This adaptation, however, was not without its internal tensions. Orthodox Yungdrung Bon lineages often viewed New Bon with suspicion, criticizing its incorporation of Buddhist elements. Figures like Shardza Rinpoche, a prominent New Bon scholar, responded to these critiques, defending the authenticity of New Bon and its continuity with the ancient Bon tradition. Monasteries, both in exile and in the regions where Bonpos settled, became vital centers for the preservation and transmission of Bon knowledge. Menri Monastery, originally located in Sang, Tibet, and later re-established in Dolonji, India, in 1967, became a focal point for the Bonpo diaspora. This monastery, with its traditional Tibetan architecture, houses hundreds of monks, preserving the Bonpo canon, conducting rituals, and training future generations of Bonpo masters. Yungdrung Ling, another important Bon monastery in Tibet, and Tenchin, in eastern Tibet, also played significant roles in maintaining the Bon tradition. These monasteries, often facing financial hardship and political pressure, served as beacons of hope for the Bonpo community, preserving their spiritual heritage and providing a sense of continuity amidst the challenges of exile. The Dalai Lama's recognition of Bon as a fifth Tibetan spiritual tradition in 1979 was a watershed moment for the Bonpo. This recognition, a symbolic embrace from the leader of Tibetan Buddhism, brought Bon out of the shadows and onto the world stage. It affirmed the legitimacy of Bon as a distinct religious tradition, acknowledging its unique contributions to Tibetan culture and spirituality. While tensions between Bon and Buddhism persisted in some quarters, the Dalai Lama's recognition paved the way for greater dialogue and understanding between the two faiths. It also raised awareness of Bon in the wider world, attracting new followers and fostering scholarly interest in its rich history and teachings. The Bonpo, once marginalized and forced into exile, had emerged as a vibrant and respected spiritual community, their traditions preserved, their faith renewed, their story a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit. From ancient shamanic roots to exile and revival, the Bon religion's journey reveals a resilient spirit adapting to changing landscapes. Its complex relationship with Buddhism, marked by both conflict and integration, highlights the dynamic nature of religious evolution. The 9 Ways of Bon, a graded path to enlightenment, and the preservation of Bonpo traditions through termas and oral transmission underscore the importance of spiritual resilience. These insights into Bon's history and practices enrich our understanding of Tibetan culture and spirituality, demonstrating how traditions can evolve and coexist. What are your thoughts on Bon's unique path to enlightenment or its survival in exile? Share your insights in the comments below. Subscribe for more explorations of fascinating spiritual traditions. Keep questioning, keep learning, and keep exploring the rich tapestry of human belief.